Good afternoon to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, a very important and crucial meeting that this NEC is seating, Professor. It seems like the provincial structures are basically rendering the party ungovernable. What do you make of the latest developments within the ruling party?
Yes, today's meeting, and it seems like it's going to continue, is an outcome of the last NEC meeting where they decided on the special NEC, which indicates how important the leadership in the ANC look at this problems of the provinces. We obviously know about KwaZulu-Natal, the provincial conference there that was stopped by a court order, as well as the situation in the Northwest, and now the other two provinces also, the Free State and the Eastern Cape. And I think what is important for the ANC is over and above the unity discussions that are taking place after the December conference, or in order to deal with the results of the December conference, it's also in preparation for next year's election. Because at the NEC meeting at the end of March, the Secretary General, Ace Magashule, indicated that he will chair a committee that will start with the nominations for next year's election already in September and October. So it is well in advance of next year's election process. And I think if the provinces are not in place and they are on a solid basis, then this nomination process won't be able to take place. And I think, therefore, the whole situation is heating up because the members and possible candidates know that this is very much in the pipeline now.
Absolutely, Prof. You know, while we're still on the provincial scuffles there, let's look at this fresh ploy that was announced recently, the fact that could potentially see the former ANC President Jacob Zuma back at the driving seat of the ANC. But do you think that these members that are actually seeking for the nullification of the entire National Elective Conference have a leg to stand on?
Well, that is in the end the court will have to decide, and there is always a chance that that can happen. We've seen it with the fact that the court set aside the 2015 provincial conference of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. So it's not completely impossible, but there's a huge risk involved because if we look at just at the election results, neither of the two main factions will be secure if the court sets aside the national conference, because except for the Deputy President, none of the other five won with big majorities. So it's not going to favor the one side or the other side if this national conference is set aside. And therefore, it is quite difficult to understand what is actually the motive behind the application of the Eastern Cape members.
Prof, while we're on those the nullifications and, of course, the members going to court, let's talk about the Ndebele report that has been released this morning that has seen a lot of contention with this. What do you think about the recommendations that were actually made within this report?
Well, it is something which is now going to be tested actually by the court because this will be part of this court application about what is actually the future provincial executive of Cape. It was a situation which was very close to the national conference last year, and it was in the interest of everyone that comfortable that the result was of that conference, that it had to be to some extent be accepted in order for the national conference. Now it seems like they want to set ANC and the ANC's leadership actually before the national conference. Becoming a highly disruptive situation here. Not anymore the sort of the factions of 2017. New dynamics that are developing within the ANC. My interpretation is that it is now about to be on the provincial lists as well as the provincial list for national parliament. It becomes a highly contested situation.
Absolutely. Now, Prof, we've seen, of course, the ANC try to remedy the situation by appointing those provincial task teams that seem to be having all of a hard time in resolving these matters because it is still the very same people that the members are disgruntled with that are at the helm of these. So let's talk about the fact that it seems like the ANC does not have an internal structure to deal with the grievances of its members, and it seems like the court is the only way to go. How can they correct this in time to make sure that everything goes smoothly in planning for the elections come 2019?
Well, the ANC has established its own internal dispute resolution committee. It has been successful in many cases in the past number of years, even before the national conference. So I think it's fair to say that they have no mechanisms in order to deal with the situation. That they've even dealt with situations in the Eastern Cape December conference last year. So I think it is going to be used again in order, together with the NEC deployees, in order to deal with these situations, because it's in the end ultimately in the interest to go to the courts.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. I was going to ask if maybe they don't need to look at the policies that need to be addressing these type of challenges within the party. That is Professor Dirk Carter in our Pretoria studios, and he was deliberating the current internal squabbles within the ANC. I now hand you over to Peter.